the other meetings at 7:30 on the town website. It says it starts at 7 and then public, there was like an agenda. The first was the presentation, then public commentary, and then at 7:30 started the next session for whatever else. It's on our town's website.
Like the 7 o'clock work session.
There's a 7 o'clock work session. But if you want to comment on that, then yes, we're absolutely fine. But
Well, when I checked on the website, it said public comment.
there is a
So the
public comment. there is
website
public
has an
comment.
agenda for the work session. Which includes public comment, and it has an agenda for the regular village board meeting, which actually has a public comment as well.
Pull up the URL.
It's in the city ordinance as well. I mean, one moment.
We can certainly take your comments after we're done with the LUTC if you want.
Sure,
It won't be-
it's quick. Yeah.
it won't be, it just won't be in the public record of the meeting.
Sure, it was just a quick 2-minute thing. I just
Yeah.
wanted to bring it up. So whenever.
Yeah, that's the only thing. It won't be in the public record for the meeting. But then if you wanted it to be, you could send us an email and then we could put it into the record.
Sure, I was just looking at the.
So-
Mr. Mayor, let me suggest, since you're gonna be with me for longer than 2 minutes, why don't we let this?
Yes, I was gonna ask, I was just gonna ask you if that was okay. All right, so
Appreciate it.
if you could just give us your name, we're just gonna do a public comment here as an issue that he wanted to bring to us. We got a little bit mixed up on the agendas on the website. So we're gonna let him do this now, and then we'll go to the LUTC right after that. So just give us your name, where you're from, and.
Yeah, sure. So my name is George. I live in Nyack. I also have my business in Nyack called Rockland Technology Services. We're a franchise of and we do data recovery, digital forensics, and ransomware recovery. We're a technology company. We have an office we just opened here in town. In January, we built a laboratory, same everything. So my issue, why I'm coming here today, I've been to Andy's office about this issue. I've lived in this village maybe 6 years now. It's never gotten this bad. The filming crews, and you can see like the filming crews are taking up an exorbitant amount of parking space that it's detrimental to my business. The other day I had a client coming up for ransomware and he's like, I can't find parking anywhere. He's like, the street is blocked off. I go outside and you can see it was not even 1 block away from where my business is, right across the street over here. And it was less than a block. Now, this wasn't the first time. A few weeks ago, I went to Andy's office. I submitted, I said, what, you guys blocked the street, not right on this block, 1 block over, it's blocked also. It's every week is happening like this. Normally, they used to give us compensation for this kind of disruption to the business. And now we don't get notification. We don't get anything. I came into the village hall. They said, oh, we posted on Facebook. I don't use Facebook. It's becoming really detrimental. A lot of my clients are telling me I can't find parking. I'm driving around. And then now we don't get any compensation for it. And when I went to Andy's office, I spoke to Andy, what's her name? And right, she emailed me back and was like, your business is too far away from the location. I'm less than 500 feet. And then it's considered that's too far away. So I want the trustees to establish some kind of rules because my business is hurting from it. The guy drove off, I lost a ransomware case, $30,000, $40,000 case, and I can't do it. And it's just hurting. And I don't know what to tell people. And this is less than 1 block away from where my business is. I came in here to town hall again a second time this past week. Andy, I guess you were in a meeting. It was noon. No one was here who could talk to me. They said you have to come to the town meetings. Here I am. I'm going to put it on the agenda for next meeting, but it's really hurting, guys. I just hired an engineer and a second employee here in the town. And the company that I have a franchise with is asking me how it is. And I'm about to pull the plug and move to North Jersey. And like and I love it here. I opened the office here for that specific reason, is that I love this town. I've been here 6 years. And it's never, with the filming and the permits going through, so it's never been like this. All the old film crews used to at least knock on the door. We'd work something out with the production manager. He'd tell us times, they'd give us compensation. Now I'm losing Kate. I'm losing business and I don't know what to do. So I came here today. Hopefully we can figure something out. I just want to do business uninterrupted,
Okay, let us look into it with Anne Marie and see what her part of it is, and then we can get back to you and let you know what we can or.
Sure. Is there any kind of official ruling on the books or what the standard is for how far the filming has to be from a business to establish the disruption?
Is there?
Yeah, I think our filming code, which, have you ever read the filming code?
Yeah, I looked at it the first time you guys denied me.
I think that there's terms in there regarding distance.
Do you know what that footage
I
is?
don't recall off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, how much closer could it get than a block?
It could be on your block.
So it can be less than 300 feet?
It could either be on your block or not on your block,
Well, I mean, here's my business, here's where it was blocked off. I mean,
which is on the next.
Where's your business? I just can't tell from there.
we're on 1 South Broadway, above the antique store.
On one side.
By like the antique, it's in between the antique
And they
store
closed
and
down
Broadway
what?
Bistro.
They closed down from Bird down.
They closed down from Bird Street, like literally, if you,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, like right there, and it was less than, I'm like, how much closer can
This
it
was a
get?
particularly, I don't know if there was something different.
This was a big one.
This was a big
This
one. I don't know.
FBI thing was really.
Because they took over all Memorial Park too, as
So they took over the marina parking lot.
the mid parking lot, yeah, so
They were permitted for that. Yeah.
yeah, but they had every spot. And they had a lot of spots on, I mean, it was a big one,
Well, we have been.
more than usual, more than the.
Is it
we did a lot of
more this
filming
year filming? Because I've noticed much more filming as of late than years past.
But hopefully, to answer your question, has it been, this was a big disruption, this was a big one, and this one obviously has gotten you here. Have the other ones have been annoyances, but have they been as bad as this one, or was this one particularly?
This one was so close, the other one, I went to Andy's office, I asked Anne Marie, I said, you guys are about 1.5 blocks over here on Church Street. And there's already like, with the restaurants and the other stuff going on that they take up spot, there's just I don't know what to do. I don't want to lose business, but at the same time, I understand, I respect the restaurants need a spot too. I understand filming, it helps the town too, but there's got to be some kind of balance to it,
You're right, you're right. Well, let us look at our regulations, so I'll send them around to the board. So we-
I very much appreciate it, guys. Should I put it on the next meeting, the agenda? Or whatever, wait for an email, whatever you guys
Yeah,
want to
well,
do.
you can, or we'll just get back to you, and then if you decide you want to put it on the agenda, then you certainly can.
Thanks so much.
Just very quickly, Mr. Mayor, section 187-4E of the village code, 187, it's in the filming chapter, it says, in addition to any fees or costs mentioned in this chapter, the applicant, that's the film company, shall reimburse directly impacted merchants from the sum of $350 for each day of filming. It's only $350, doesn't define who impacted merchants are.
Okay, so let us
So
look at
there is
that.
no exact footage of how far?
Not that I can see, I'm still.
Andy, when I came into your office, you said there was an exact amount of footing, and you asked me to email Anne Marie about that, and you denied me.
It may not be a code issue.
I think, I honestly, like I said before, I don't have this code memorized. But there's clearly a rule of thumb operating in the way she does permits, which is that.
It may be in the contract
If
with
the street closure is on the block. It's different than if it's not blocked over.
it may be in the contract that stuff has been written through. And we over the years have seen those contracts and approved them. Might not be exactly in the code, but let us review it.
Okay, maybe we can update the code so that this
Yeah.
doesn't happen in the future.
Well, let us look at it.
I appreciate it.
Your name again?
George, and then my last name is Pavel, P like Peter, A, B like Victor, E-L, Pavel. Yep, and I think they have my email, sure.
Let us look at it.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time. Have a good
Thank you.
day. Thank you again. No worries. Take care.
So we'll send it around. Let's get the contract and the code around to the board so that we can review it. Steve,
Let me apologize in advance. I may lose my voice. I had three remote court hearings today, so
no,
all I've been doing is talking. But I'll do my best. So I guess the purpose.
before you start, Steve, I just want you to know, and please thank the committee for this work. I know there's more work to do,
Sure.
but thank them, everyone, for the work they put into this. It's really well done. There's things obviously that still need to be looked into,
Right.
but I just appreciate the work, and we all do the work that the committee is.
Thank you, and I'll make sure that I pass that along. So primarily, this was just to update the village board on the issues that the LUTC looked at in its first meeting, based on the input from the board and from the chief building inspector. These are primarily issues that Manny wanted to have reviewed. And I guess for the purposes of tonight, what I'll do is I can share with you at least two that are ready to go. The others all require additional work, and my thanks to village administrator for pointing out an issue that nobody on the committee had realized, despite the fact that there were at least two lawyers sitting there.
Which one was that?
That's the bump out issue. So I certainly do appreciate your input. Would have been nice if you had thought of it at the time,
Yeah,
but we're
we
good.
wrote the whole thing, yeah.
No, we're good. So the memo you have in front of you is dated May 3rd. Summary by issue memo of the issues that we discussed. And basically the first two, number one and number two, in the opinion of the committee, are ready to go. They're simple, but they're going to help to streamline the efficiency of the building department, which, as you all know, is a prime concern.
Yeah, so let's hold right there, because let's work out a process to get these taken care of,
Sure.
okay, and then we'll go on.
Sure.
So these are both code revisions, correct?
Yes.
So we would need to go through the law process, public hearing.
Of course.
So let's talk about for the board, Steve, if you could just give us a quick overview of number one, and then we'll discuss whether we want to move forward with it.
Sure. So the first one is basically giving the building department authority to rule on certain sign applications that ordinarily would have gone the architectural review board. And it's simply a matter of reducing costs for applicants, so they don't have to pay the fee. I'm sorry, Dennis, I'm taking money away from you.
No, in fact, Valerie, so if I'm here till 3 in the morning, it doesn't cost the bill.
Oh, we win.
It would save applicants money, right? And these are simple sign applications that really shouldn't require a public meeting and an appearance by an applicant. So it's basically to streamline the process. Manny brought this to our attention. He's very comfortable with this, right? And certainly based on my experience, I think I'm at 21 years now in land use. There's no reason why these applications shouldn't stay within the building department and not have to.
Wasn't this approved once before when we allowed, was it Don Acapino, whatever, to approve certain sign applications?
What would happen, Marie, back then is that Don would essentially call me and he'd say, well, what do you think? This really
Okay.
needs to go to the ARB. And for simple ones, where there was clearly no requirement for public input, it was such a minor change that nobody would see it anyway,
Okay,
or to understand it. Then Don would do that, but that was infrequent. And that was not policy at the time. So what we want to do now is we want to make it policy.
great.
And there's some very good sort of parameters for how Manny would make the decision based here, same size. Just the simple basic changes, same size, basic design, etc. That it would be handled administratively.
Yeah.
Are we okay?
Yeah.
Makes sense to everybody?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's move that one forward, Dennis.
Number one, I got it.
Number one, we're ready to go. Number two.
So 2 is really an extension of the same concept. Ordinarily, in order to have a tree removed in the village, you need to file an application with the building department for planning board approval. And again, generally, the vast number of applications that come before the planning board and go through the building department for tree removal are generally trees that are in dangerous condition. Now, Manning has the authority to go out and to take a look and to automatically issue a permit. But in other situations where there's a single tree that's being required to be removed, generally because it's in conjunction with an application for either a deck or some small addition like that, Manny feels, and we agreed with him, that an application for single tree removal can be administratively dealt by him. Any more than a single tree, we thought would potentially impact other properties and may also impact the tree ordinance. So that would require planning board approval. But for a single tree, we felt that, again, to streamline the administrative process, to relieve an applicant from filing that fee, showing up at the planning board,
It takes almost a month to cut a tree
Yeah.
down. That's dangerous. That
Right.
makes no sense.
And you know, the same requirements would apply. Manny would take a look at the tree, he'd evaluate it. If you required an arborist report, he would get that. So there'd be no diminution in the amount of scrutiny that was applied to it. It would just streamline the process for an applicant and save them by cost.
I believe this has been discussed a number of times. We've got pushback a couple of times from the tree committee. Have we run this by the tree committee?
Have not. That's why I'm here.
That they felt that every tree should be reviewed by, they actually want the tree committee has to review all the trees. And we've never agreed to that. So the in-between was that the planning board. But it seems to me that one tree, for the specific reasons that are being discussed, it doesn't really make sense that we would make them go through that whole process, so you can't get a permit.
This is, she couldn't hear that. And going through the process.
Yeah, my only question there was, and I don't know what the mayor was saying, is the question of when you're talking about the removal of a single tree of any size. Should there not, I know, and you're going on that is accompanied by an arborist letter. Okay, or something to be hazardous. Should there not be some form of description of size to do it, or you're just, it's just a blanket approval if the arborist says it's okay and that's it?
So you're talking about the definition of a significant tree that's embodied somewhere in our code, which I don't remember specifically.
I don't
But-
see significant in there.
No, it's not in here, Marie. This is not the code. This is just a summary of our discussion. But significant tree is, I believe, defined in the code. So let me give you a practical example, right? I only have one tree in my backyard. Okay. It's got a circumference of about 48 inches. It's 110 feet tall, right? So in a situation like that, where there's only one tree, for me to have to go to the planning board, if for some reason there's a condition that my arborist believes requires removal, but it's not an emergency, right? Simply, we believe that the arborist letter, right, and an evaluation by Manny should be sufficient. Now, that's an extreme example. There are not many trees the size of mine, right, in people's backyards, and it probably shouldn't be there, but it is there, you know. We believe it was the number that mattered, and the oversight, and Manny's oversight. Because he'll make a site review, he'll go, he'll take a look. And he'll require whatever paperwork is necessary. So we believe that that the one tree was a significant issue.
Any thoughts or other questions? No, we're approving the development if that we want to move forward with this, and because it's a code change. So we would have to go through a formal change of code in order to do this. So we'd have an opportunity if we wanted to go through with this, but we wanted to add certain parts to different pieces to it. We would have an opportunity to do that either in a public hearing or during our deliberation.
That's, okay, no, I understand that. I guess I'm wondering. Could there be a role created for a member of the tree committee in these approvals, or are we trying to stay within that?
For me, I think once you do that, then you're giving approval to everyone that's on the committee that has that as their specific issue or something, and that's why we write close. I mean, that's what I would think is the process.
So let me address that concern. I could suggest that if you wish, you could give the tree committee an advisory role. As long as it was a limitation on the time they had to review the application.
Yeah.
So their opinion would not be binding, but it would be advisory to the board.
And you, like, the removal process for one tree takes about a month? Or is this?
Depending on when the application's made, if it's like made the day after the planning board meeting in May. It's not gonna show up until the planning board meeting in June. And then there's gonna be an approval, and it's gonna take a couple of weeks so it could take up 4 to 6 weeks to get a tree down.
And this
Depending on
process is to shorten that in some way?
Yeah, wouldn't have to go before.
Other process.
And how, by how much do we know? Or
Well, it
is-
could be,
Could be days.
could be within a couple of days, Manny gets out and looks at the trees, got an arborist report. He says, yes, it needs to come down.
Okay.
So it could be, or it could be a week, if Manny can't get out, so.
Well, I guess it just makes me wonder if when Mandy goes out, maybe a tree. Someone goes out with him and then they can just do it right then and there. But like maybe Mandy with just some, as if it's in a limited role, like obviously Mandy had the ultimate authority to decide. They're just there as, you know, I guess, a consideration.
I was just gonna s- I mean, I'm on this committee with the group. And I think the purpose of these is to actually eliminate some friction in the process.
Okay.
And what you're doing with that
Would that
proposal would
create-
create more friction, because now there would need to be, we haven't given approval from the tree committee. Has the tree committee ever charter for anything with existing trees, or are they about putting in new trees? I don't even know.
I think both, right? Where they both.
They deal with the preservation of existing trees, and what capacity do they have?
They make recommendations to the board and to Andy of what trees need to be trimmed. and what trees need.
Okay, so.
But sometimes we trim them without them asking us.
Alright.
Sometimes we do spraying for certain insects because the guys at the DPW see it and the tree committee hasn't seen it. Other times the tree committee sees it and brings it to them and then they do it.
I think the idea is just simply to make it for single tree applications where there is an arborist letter or
Yeah.
determination. That it's dangerous, that it can get taken down without having to wait for the planning board,
Right,
which I sort of agree with. And if there's more than one tree, well, then you gotta go to the process.
Yeah.
More than one tree is fine.
I kind of, I'll call this all back, because now that I kind of understand what the role is more, I don't think this would help, so. We can ignore everything I just said, so let's put that.
It's a,
No, it's
you want to be protected, but generally speaking, I think most of the, I mean, let me ask you this. What percentage of applications to remove a tree where there's an arborist letter to get rejected?
Zero.
They always get approved. Because generally speaking, people do not come and say, I want to take down this tree on my property. They want
Yeah.
to keep their trees. And if they want to do, in most cases, if they're doing it for construction purposes, they're gonna want to take down multiple trees. So
Okay, got
my suggestion would be to at least look at code.
And then for construction purposes, the multiple tree applications are part of the site plan.
Okay.
So that automatically comes in front of the planning board.
So Steve, just trying to know the timing issues. So when Nyack Boat Club recently did their big trees, did they have to go through a long process to get the approval to do those?
I'm not.
They're sitting right here, they're, Jay's shaking his head, yes.
Because I was just gonna say, because those things were monsters and they were problems. So is there anything in here that's going to move that process along?
Multiple trees?
Yeah.
No,
No, only single trees.
no, only
Only
single
single
trees. We don't want to take the protections for that type of an application away.
Okay, okay.
So are we ready to move this forward and get a law
Yeah.
written for us? All right, so we're good on two. Next,
So the next steps, the only next one that's ready for actual action, and it's more policy, depending on how you want to approach this, number 8. This is code enforcement. So this actually took up an awful lot of the discussion at the end of the night. The members of the committee felt, partly because of ADA concerns, but partly because, as is always the case, there's an ebb and flow when it comes to the ability to use sidewalks. And I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. It's probably about 10 or 11 years ago when the village had a real outreach program to the business community to try to get them to make sure their sidewalks are clean, make sure that folks that had sidewalk permits complied with the regulations concerning those permits. It may have even been long ago with the sandwich board. Actually, I'm sure Marie, you remember that.
Yep.
With the sandwich board issue that became actual pedestrian hazards on sidewalks. So what the LUTC recommends is that, and this is probably a policy change, is that there is increased communication between village government as a whole and the downtown business community when it concerns use of sidewalks.
Yeah.
And it's protective for the village because of ADA concerns. And it's also. It's also gonna be a benefit to the business community. Because nobody likes.
Yeah.
I mean, we all like our sidewalk permits, we all like our sidewalk handles. But when you try to walk through on a Saturday or a Friday night, it becomes an issue.
I think we're there. I think we're there.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a couple times at board meetings. So we're actually, Andy and I have been up and down both Broadway and Main Street telling people that we're gonna start enforcing.
Right.
ADA
So,
stuff.
yeah, so we'd recommend that there's closer coordination between the village board, between the justice, between the Justice Department. And between the code enforcement officers. So everybody's on the same page. A strong outreach to the business community saying, hey, this is what's gonna happen. Maybe even writing, maybe even a letter or a flyer, so that they understand what their responsibilities are up front. And then some good code enforcement.
Okay. Anybody have any issues with that? I mean, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
We wanted to- Thank you, Steve. And so we've also done 5, I think. We
The
did,
5 is basically the same, yeah.
yeah, we basically did 5 in the context of developing the park
Okay,
policy that
Great.
we have. And then the other ones, when
The
you get the research done.
yeah, the other ones are in progress. Number 4, the telecom statute. I know that, I don't know if Manny's actually come before you. But he mentioned to me that he's investigating hiring. An actual code expert for telecommunications. To relieve me of rewriting the code that I wrote the first time. I don't believe. Based on our conversations, it's my understanding that what I wrote is in conformance with the 1996 Federal Telecommunications Act. But there may be some tweaking that may be required as far as fall distances and other distances, especially for access. Now that the equipment has changed. Marie, do you remember when we wrote that? How long ago was that?
Oh,
It might have been 2005 or
I was gonna say
2006.
10, 12 years, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm certain with the change in equipment.
Yeah.
That there may be some distance revisions that our code no longer reflects. So,
Again, please to carry on. Let's keep moving this forward and.
Yeah.
One of the purposes, I know we haven't gotten into it yet. One of the purposes is really to have a good scrub of how we can work on bringing more affordability to
Right.
our houses.
well, part of the issues that are on there, the SRO issue. And the brewing house issue and the amendment of table 4.1 to change some permitted uses in various zones. That'll be the first leg of that effort.
Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you again.
Question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, 6, 7, and 8, what did we just determine?
That they're gonna do, 8, we determined we're gonna do. 6 and 7, we determined that there's more research needed before it comes back to us.
6 and 7 are not ready for you to
Okay,
have.
yeah, okay, no, what I'm saying is because we had this discussion before.
Which discussion?
The one about, rooming house or, making them into, some of the larger parcels,
Okay,
buildings, okay?
you mean you had the discussion here at the village board?
No, I remember it when,
Can we,
all right,
Marie, you're certainly welcome to have the input into that discussion,
Okay.
but we're not ready to really discuss it at the board because we don't have the recommendations from them. These were just issues that they were raising. with us.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you, everybody. Thanks
thank
for
you. Thank you.
let's get this
Already started.
show on the road. If you would please rise and join me and welcome to our board meeting for the 11th. Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you, everyone. I know that our good friends from that like us to get cold in the water during the winter are here to present something to us. So I'm just gonna ask, I'm gonna ask that we do minutes first. then ask them to do their presentation, and then we'll move to the agenda. Is that
Yep.
all right with everyone?
Yep.
So let's get an approval of the minutes first. I need a motion in the second.
Second,
Motion from Donna, second from Pascal. Any questions or corrections on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Over to you.
Thank you. Village board members, I bring you great news. You were just voted unanimously the coolest village board in all of America. I don't know how it happened, but it did, obviously, and it was the correct choice. But I wanted to come here in person to thank you so much for allowing us to have a penguin plunge again at the beautiful Memorial Park. It was record breaking in many ways. We had 4 children. And they would thank you. They're actually all kind of under the weather tonight, so it's kind of weird that I went to bring something to meet them. 4 children, 400 people went in the water. They said it couldn't be done, but it was.
And at the same time.
At the same time, and they paid us money, right? They all donated to the children. And there were 1,000 people in the park, and it was joyous. It was really great. Yep. It was
Yep.
absolutely joyous. It was so much fun. Families really had a good time, and we couldn't do without you. I can't tell you how much money we're gonna give the families, because I want them to be surprised.
Sure.
It is also record breaking.
Wow.
Exciting, so you can do the math. It's just so exciting. We actually still have one more event. I get chills. I'm getting chills in May. I'm getting chills in May. Like I said, I can't thank you enough. It was our 16th year, or 15th at Memorial Park. It's back in the dark days. We were up at one time at Hook Mountain. But the state is not as accommodating. It's the coolest village board. So I wanted just to give you t-shirts. I don't want to pick sizes for people, so perhaps I give them to Jennifer.
Okay.
Because it's beautiful, but of course, your acknowledgement's there, and I cannot thank you enough on behalf of these 4 kids. Of Daniel, Dominic, May, and Cassidy. So we wish them all sorts of health. We wish them love. A lot of happiness came there, good wishes, because it isn't always about the money. It's also for them seeing people jump in on behalf of their children. That's what mom told me. It's just something that they'll always remember, and hopefully their children will live long, healthier lives. So, and we couldn't do that. We really couldn't. So thank you. You're where it starts.
What
It's
happened
one
to
of
the
those-
penguins?
What happened to the penguins?
Yeah.
Oh, I brought one for you.
Okay.
Well, let me get it. I did because Marie always, we have proxy penguins. So sometimes, it's gonna be hard to believe, but some people don't want to go in the water. Look what's wrong with them. So they send little penguins in,
I can
and Marie always has one each year. So I took them in and took them out, for environmental concerns. They came out, no penguins were harmed,
Got it.
and no plastics were left in the water.
And
So,
then people came back and got their penguins and they had gone in.
yes,
The
yeah.
bird did it.
So it's, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope we
It's
can-
really exciting for us as a village to be involved in.
Oh, right.
It's a fun event.
It really is a great event, It brings a lot to the village, and we're really
Well,
proud.
anything I can do, like if you need me to help the village in any way, promote it, or you need my recommendation, let me know. And next year, our goal is to give away. It will be like our $1 million giving away. So that's our thing, like over these years.
Right.
We're close enough to $1 million. I'm confident that next year will be $1 million. I used to be so much younger when this first started. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Jennifer loves you all, and she will designate the sizes.
She's the one that voted us the coolest village board.
Well, she actually was the coolest village clerk, so I think so.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, did the rest of you bring t-shirts for us or? No one's got t-shirts? Yes, a public comment.
Yeah, that's it.
Mayor, you have the public hearing on your.
Open the public
I did a revised agenda with the public hearing on off-street parking.
The version 2 agenda, public
Just
comment.
want to make sure you can see that.
I have the one that you printed for me, so probably not. So what do we need to do with this moment?
The village board, a couple months ago, continued the public hearing
Right.
on off-street parking minimums to today. And it would need to be kind of recontinued if you want to, to June 8th.
So
when.
We did get the GML back.
yes, just today.
Yeah,
And I don't think Bob's given us a memo on it yet, we literally just got it like 3 hours
Okay.
ago, but
So we just need to make a motion to extend the public hearing through June 8th.
Right,
Okay.
to you,
well, maybe.
if I may. It's important that it be said in a certain way,
Okay.
this is my legal opinion, any one of you can adopt it as your motion, simply when I finish, say, so moved as recited by legal counsel. So my legal opinion would be procedurally appropriate, but I need to make the following motion is to continue and keep open the public hearing relating to the proposed local law that is amending chapter 360 of the village code, which is the zoning code. In particular, the amendment to the DMU-1 zoning district parking requirements.
We need a motion.
So that, and we have to say the date, time, location, and that will be continued and held open to June 8th, 2023. 8:00 PM here in Village Hall in person.
Amen, made that motion.
I need a second.
She said it. Yeah.
Any discussion? Just so the machinations here, just so everyone knows, is we have a public hearing that's open on the law to change the downtown parking minimum requirements. And we're holding it open until we get comments and have a chance to have it processed. So we had the public hearing was open, I think, a month ago about, and we've held it open until we get back all the reports from the different entities. So that's what we're doing right now, is just keeping the public hearing open. Once we get all the comments, we'll have the law, and then we'll take a look. We'll close the public hearing, then take it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Is there anything else that I?
that's it, I'm sorry. I had-
No, that's okay. You know what? I almost printed out another one. I thought, oh, he just gave it to me yesterday, so it should be good. All right. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna have public comment on any of our action items. I'm gonna go over the action items for you. So you know what we're going to be voting on tonight. And there will be one other one that I'll mention right now. We have a reappointment for a member of the Village of Nyack Housing Authority Board. Dara Joseph has agreed to serve another term. So that is not an official resolution, but I just got the notice from her this evening. So that will be one item if you have comments on that. The second is for 2023-76 is for our audited voucher summary. 23-77 is for us to approve an application for the use of Memorial Park for Jeffrey Friedberg. 23-78 is for us to approve an application for a cancer awareness in Memorial Park. 23-29 is for us to approve a service contract for Barry Burner for maintenance of boilers at the Senior Center and Village Hall. 23-80 is for us to approve an administrative service agreement with Visit Nyack for the Nyack Tourism Grant Program. 23-81 is for us to resolution for the board to classify for a type 2 classification of our PFAS treatment of the Nyack water treatment plant. And I believe that's it.
Mhm.
So any comments on the way we run our board meetings is we have comments before we make any action on any of the items on them specifically. Once we're through with the action items, then it's open for public comment on anything. Right, so that's the way we try to work through our board meeting. I know sometimes that gets confusing, but that is the way our practice is. So any comment on any one of the action items? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion and a second for resolution 23-76.
So,
Motion from Donna, second from Marie and Pascal. Any questions of Jennifer on the audited voucher? Hearing none, all in favor?
I,
Opposed, motion carried. 23-77, this was something that we discussed and asked Andy to put together for Jeffrey Friedberg's use of the gazebo in Memorial Park for May 20th.
so made.
Motion from Marie, second from Pascal. I think I heard
Yeah, so
her raising her hand. Any discussion on this? It's within the parameters that we've been working through to sort of get a policy around it. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. 2379 is for approval of Memorial Park for the cancer awareness event.
No,
I'll go back. 78, sorry, this is 2378. It's dark up here, I can't read. 2378. This is 2378 for the cancer awareness.
Right.
Motion from Pascal,
Second.
second from Marie. We went over this in the last meeting. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Andy, for the blind old man. We're now at 2379, and this is for us to approve a service contract with Barry Burner for maintenance of boilers in Village Hall and Senior Center.
So moved. Second.
Any motions on the table? Any questions or further issues? All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. The next 2380 is for us to approve the administrative services agreement with Visit Nyack for the Nyack Tourism Grant Program. We did get an agreement with Tomas to change the language, so we're all set with that. As per our attorney, I need a motion in a second.
Motion. Second.
Second from Joe and from Marie. Any questions about this? Clarifications, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. We're gonna get a little bit of an explanation from Andy or Dennis on this next one, because I'm always
okay.
confused to what the heck.
Okay,
to do.
good.
So, the motion is 2381, and it's for the village board. For type 2 classification for PFAS treatment at the Nyack water treatment plant. So Andy or Dennis, could you give us just a brief? I've read through everything. I think I understand it. I
Sure.
think it would be helpful for.
The type 2 action means that under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQRA, as you know, it's exempt from review as type 2. So type 2 means it does not require an environmental review. And there's a whole list of type 2 actions that are exempt. And I guess our consulting engineers on this, H2M,
Yes,
have advised that it's type 2 because what's being proposed is it involves less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area. And it does not involve change in zoning or use variance, and it's consistent with our local land use controls. And I can confirm the local land use controls part of that, and the part about the change in zoning, I can also confirm that. As far as it being less than 4,000 square feet, I'll entrust that to H2M architects and engineers that they know how to look at drawings and add up the square footage. So based upon that, I would agree with this motion that it's a type 2 action. It's
Okay.
exempt from environmental
Thank you.
review.
thank you.
Okay.
So with that explanation, are we ready to vote? Any
Yeah.
questions? Okay, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. We will now have public comment on any item, 3 minutes. If you would come up, just give us your name, your address, and we would entertain any public comment at this time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Samuel. I live at 33 Dickinson Avenue. Like to,
Speak a little louder.
yes,
Okay.
Yes, I know we can.
I'm a camp director. I can speak as loud as you'd like. Actually, I would like to say that I run a nature-based summer camp and very much an environmentalist. But I'd like to talk about the leaf blower ban for next year. I guess my like I'll put the cart before the horse. I would like to see the village modify the law to reflect what Upper Nyack has passed, where the leaf blower bans during the summer, but is still able to use a gas powered leaf blower on the shoulder seasons. And here's why. I apologize that I didn't come before the trustees when we were considering the bill. I didn't know it was going to be a total prohibition in 2024. Once I learned that, I started researching what I was going to be able to use to clear my yard. I live up by the middle school. I have a 100-plus-year-old maple tree in my backyard, which drops 6 inches of leaves that I clean up myself. My family does not have the means to employ a landscaper, so I do it myself. And So I was looking for things, and to make a long story short, the technology is not there for electronic or battery powered leaf blowers that can handle the capacity or the length of time that it takes to clear my yard. I would love nothing more, but the closest thing that comes to it is a commercial version sold by Steel that would cost $4,000. So I would like a little bit of reconsideration on that going into 2024. Also, I feel like I would be unduly disadvantaged by the law because my property abuts the middle school, which is Orangetown now, and they have no leaf blower now. So I would not be able to reap the benefits of the environmental or the health impacts of this. I'm not even going to be able to reap the benefits during the summer because there's no ban at all for Orangetown. So when the contractors come in to the middle school and blow at 9 a.m. on a Saturday or Sunday morning and blow that stuff through the fence, I will have nothing to be able to blow it back. So I don't want to prolong this anyway, but some reconsideration until the technology is there, until there is a environmentally conscious alternative to a backpack blower for a resident to own, or an electric version of a rolling blower. And I don't even mind pulling around a cord, but there's nothing yet on that. So I thank you for your time and your consideration. And Eric, can we also thank you.
Let me get in touch with the landscaper that recommended that we do this and said that there was. So that was the information. So let me find out if he knows of anything. I know you've probably done research, but
I think
then
for
we
a
can bring it back to
landscaper, I think for a landscaper there is. Like I said,
No, he said it was for home, he said it was for home use. We
Yeah.
went through this with him when we did it. So, but if he's wrong, we will bring it back. to
Yeah,
the-
I would even think it would be okay if it was a prohibition on commercial outfits. But not for residents.
Okay, let me do that research with them. We'll get back to.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And they'll blow the stuff in my backyard. too. Anyone else? And Taylor's.
Yeah.
We have Dickinson Avenue well represented here.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no other public comment, we'll
Wait, hold on.
Is this for action items or is this?
Anything.
this is for any item, we've already done the action items, we're all done.
It's for anything.
This is for anything that you want
Is
to.
that approach? How we doing? Tristan Donigan, 6 South Broadway, back New York. I just wanted to discuss 2 things. The first thing, we've been having some noise issues. We've had noise issues in the past. A couple of the bars downtown, they leave their doors open until 4 a.m. Noise is blaring. I've put calls in incessantly with Orangetown PD. I'm not even asking them to turn off the music, just for them to close the doors and the windows. When they do come around, it's better, but they don't always come around. When these businesses, I'll just say straight up, one is the Woolworth and the other one is Up Lounge. Up Lounge hasn't been open for a while. So it's just the Woolworth now. And sometimes it doesn't start until 11 p.m. That's their problem. That's fine. It's their own business. But it is bad. And when they leave the doors open, people outside that are going out for cigarettes and whatever, they're all screaming over each other. So that only exacerbates the issue. It's a seasonal thing. It happens, when it's not cold out, basically. And it's because they don't want to turn on their AC, they don't want to turn on their heat, one way or the other. But I do know that there's a law in the books, 2 a.m. I believe they have to turn off the music or the music has to be lowered. I don't know if there's a law in the books with regards to them having to close the windows or doors. I don't know if that's a discretionary thing for the police, or if there's a device that they can use, because I know that there is a decibel that they need to stay below. And I know I have heard you in the past, Don, say that
It's difficult to enforce, but I mean, it's a quality of life issue that it's, you know. I think downtown residents shouldn't have to put up with it, and
We've done some enforcement on it. We can look in and see specifically what's been done with that property.
yeah, and I know.
Done enforcement.
I know, like, when I was in my twenties, when I was frequenting the bars when I was younger, they would, yeah. The police would make sure O'Malley's windows and doors shut at 10 p.m. And the music was loud, but the doors and windows were shut. So Nyack was a little different back then too. But, so I would appreciate it if you could look into that.
We'll look into that.
Thank you. The second thing, and I brought it up last night, Don and Joanne were there. Another shooting in our village, in our small village on Hudson Avenue. I heard it from my apartment on Main Street. It was like 30 shots. This isn't good, and I know across the board, nobody agrees with gun violence, but this is something, I mean, Donna, you live right around the corner from there. I don't know if you heard it.
Yeah.
It's there, you know, I have friends that grew up on Depew there. I have friends that still live there. There are children there. I have friends that live in the pavilion on the ground floor. You know, there are kids growing up with this in their backyard. Like, that's going to create a cycle. I grew up on First Avenue in Franklin during the crack epidemic. Our bush outside of our house was used as a stash spot. So I grew up with that crime. I grew up with the gunshots. I grew up with that. I remember that. It's terrifying. So please, we need to do something as a community. Our elected officials, you need to do something, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, we'll move now to our department reports. Our next OPD meeting, I think, is next week, right?
Do you have that confirmed?
I think it's next week.
Got a date?
So it's Wednesday,
Oh,
I believe it's Wednesday. So I've had several conversations with him about ongoing issues that we've been talking about that we'll report out on the panhandling meetings. I've been having several conversations with him about that. But we can certainly bring up the gun shooting again with that. But I don't think we don't have anything else to report from them. There was also there was a robbery on Main Street that was the person who was the suspect who was apprehended during a robbery. So that was at the time. That was the last night. Dennis.
You can continue this conversation with your indulgence, Mr. Mayor. I just want to plant the seed. Like, is it okay if the board consider?
Yeah, we can, I'll do that. So
It's
you
just a reminder, yeah.
Yep, I'll do that so you don't have to. Go ahead, just do your.
Should we
report.
consider,
I'll do that.
rescheduling
Just-
July 12th. No, I'm sorry, July 13th, but whatever, we'll chat at the end. Thanks, but everything's, you're good on it. In the legal department, thank you. Did you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Dennis?
no.
Nope. Thank you. I know we're counting and work on you all the time. Thank you for all the work you've been doing on the lease agreement for the settlement stuff too. I know that's been a lot of work. Andy. Yeah,
We're done. Thank you for bringing it.
yeah, well, we're they want to come on when you're gonna be on vacation and we're actually gonna tell them that we discuss the lease. Just.
But I think it's pretty much done, so I'm gonna make sure it is tomorrow. I think it's done. We'll double check on that. Thanks. Listen,
Andy.
Just a couple of quick, I've got 10 of them, but they'll be short. A couple of things I feel really great about. The village is gonna give $500,000 to FEMA for a drainage project up Mill Street and close to DPW there. Anne Marie has done a fabulous job of kind of jumping through all the bureaucratic and administrative loops that FEMA has. I think they love the woman and she kind of hasn't been out of her hand at this point, but there's a lot to look into it. Eve Mancuso has helped a lot. This is for what? This is a drainage improvement, which will help with the flooding in Nyack Brook by remedying some of the source waters coming kind of near where the DPW is essentially. The good news on that, another good news on the financial side is we've gone back to the county for yet another Memorial Park grant. So we're now going to have 4. The latest one we've been advised is about $200,000 for playground equipment. And that was approved by the county, which is super exciting. We've been doing a good deal of sort of work trying to get the ones that we have going. Consultants are having a very hard time getting through the registration process that the federal government has for all contractors with this funding. SAM.gov is, and so we're struggling with that and some of the other kind of startup moves. But you will see a new gate across the park driveway coming soon. We'll be building by Yaboo fence. So we'll finally have pedestrian access with a proper gate. I think those vehicles out. So that's moving forward. We also commissioned a survey. We managed to get a survey of Feely Gauntlet. And so we'll have a good survey of the entire park from Piermont Road down to the waterfront and from the inlet to the brook. Which should be useful when we go forward with the CFA applications for waterfront. I wanted to mention that the Bird Street sidewalk project running between Broadway and Cedar, as the village board knows, you approved a contractor on that, which is Belleville. We had the construction meetings. They'll start in the next couple of weeks. I also want to mention just a small thing, kind of typical DPW stuff, but there's been some tree work, a couple of tree removals of hazardous and dying trees, one by Cabos Grill, one right in front of Village Hall. With some tree planting that's being planned to replace those. And I want to thank Marcy Decker and others on the tree committee for helping figure out what trees to plant. The playground needed chips. The guys brought loads and loads down there and spread them around to make sure that the higher elements are having the proper. They actually, if you look at the playground closely, you'll see the climbers have a little line on their legs that shows how high the chips are supposed to be. And if the chips have to be up high enough to provide the kind of shock absorbency that is the standard. So we'll get out of that business once we have the playgrounds resurfaced in rubber. And that'll be nice in terms of the ADA accessibility, the ease of people getting around and less labor moving chips around and getting rid of old rotten chips and so on. Paving planning has been a big focus for us over the last couple of months. We have a paving plan now. The main streets we pave by Tilcon are going to be Gedney Street from Main Street all the way down to Acker. Lydecker, which is a terrible situation coming from Broadway down to Gedney. Pine Street up serving the Waldron area. And Depew basically running from Franklin down to the Park Gate are the main paving jobs. Right now, we're working on a crack sealing plan. The village board funded crack sealing in our budget for this year with about $30,000. So we've mapped out about $25,000 worth of crack sealing work. So looking forward to getting that done. And then we're going to go back and look at kind of patches in the roads where, for example, on North Franklin, as you get up close to 6th, it's very deteriorating. So we need some solutions that are kind of patchwork, extended patchwork in certain roads that are in poor condition. So we can kind of get by the next couple of years, basically.
I think Marie had a question.
In the listing that you had of working with Tilcon, what about Gedney Street?
That's what she.
So Gedney Street is the big one.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's- yeah.
Oh, good.
It was Gedney, Lydecker.
Oh, I heard Lydecker, okay.
And Q.
Oh, and Upper Main Street, I'm sorry, between Midland and.
Okay.
That's very interesting. Cause the road there is pretty depleted.
That's where there's water project.
Yeah.
That's where the water project.
That's one of the things is we're coordinating around the water line replacement. So it's gonna be a Marion, Jefferson.
Okay.
And so we don't want to pave before that work takes place, but I know that road's in poor condition.
Yes, actually.
And we'll keep chasing the potholes and.
It kills me.
And on that note, that part of the village there, we did get an application submitted for CDBG funds for the sidewalks,
Right.
and hopefully there'll be some money left over to tackle some paving as well. So keep your fingers crossed on that. So is that, I wanted to mention on our EV project, the charging ports for cars. There are 2 grants involved. We got one, but not the other. The 8 ports that were planned for 4 for veterans and 4 for the marina will be delayed until we have a chance to reapply for the DEC grant. In the meantime, I wanted to ask the village board to allow us to move forward and just replace the 2 that are broken in the veterans lot, which are kind of a black eye on the village. It's only about $5,000 to get them both put back into. We will have a new software and a new company and also the ability to charge for the juice and be able to kind of earn back the cost of the project over time. So I can get started on that.
Just spend it again. So the grant was, something happened with the grant to get the 8 chargers.
So we applied for 2 grants. We got one, which is the pays for trenching, and that's through ONR. And the other that would pay for the devices themselves through the DEC. We did not get that grant. But we went back and we got an extension on the ONR one, so it gives us time to reapply for DEC.
Okay, and why didn't we get the second one? What happened?
It just wasn't funded. It was a D factor. They have too many applications and not enough money.
Okay. But you want to put $5,000 into doing what with the 2?
Just repairing the 2.
Repairing these, not replacing.
Right, well, they'll be replaced.
The whole
Yeah, they'll be
thing.
replaced, yeah.
Okay, so they're not being repaired, they're being replaced.
Right, sorry for a word choice there. Yeah, they're entirely new. Devices.
Okay.
Different company, a different interface, and we'll be able to charge for their usage. So I was asking the village board just to verbally, if you would give us to go ahead and spend that $5,000 to get those 2
Any
replaced.
questions about that? Yes.
Jennifer said we have the money.
Jen?
Actually, the tree committee,
We have this, yeah.
the tree committee actually went out and got a $4,000 donation from Subaru for the tree project. And they're so eager to see the charges go forward. They said, take this tree money and put it into that. So we have a couple of different sources of several $1,000s for the chargers. I just want to mention also, just our water superintendent, Tom Lynch, is back. Maybe most of you know that. I'm sure the public does. He was out for a while due to a really bad car accident. And he's back at work. And it's great to have him back leading the team over there. I wanted to mention that Orange and Rockland is going to be doing a gas line replacement on 9W from the hospital down to High Avenue, up High Avenue towards the thruway entrance. They're in charge of all the notifications. They've sent letters out to everybody who's directly impacted in terms of service lines. We've met with them in this room. They seem to have an excellent contractor lined up. And they've agreed to a very robust sort of trench repair and resurfacing so that our roads are put back together when they're done digging those trenches.
Okay, so I'm gonna be a jerk. We have that in writing.
Yeah.
right.
Actually,
We did a handshake deal with them, as I told you, and they completely reneged on the deal. So we have to have that in writing. what they're gonna do.
so in this case, Mayor, it's not a cost share, which
I
involves
understand.
money. It's just the trench restoration, and we have a diagram and it's very specific.
And our engineers is okay with
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. We need to make sure that we hold them to what they agree to. And not have that happen.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on it for sure. Thank you.
Sorry. to be a
Sure,
jerk.
no worries. I wanted to give a shout out to the cleanup events that took place last weekend. Keep Rockland Beautiful had a lot of them. Yes, you, Lorenzini, I think Joe Rand was there. Others probably showed up as well. I think Pascal was.
that's right.
It was a really great turnout.
They took benches, didn't they?
She did mention it. You mentioned her last.
Yeah, brown paint all over.
I carried a garbage bag around for a little while. That's all I did. And
So it's quite a great turnout from Keep Rockland Beautiful, and we did get a bunch of benches painted, a bunch of flowers planted, a lot of trash picked up. We got a Nyack Brook. Went all over the park and the streets and so on, and it was a nice turnout. We probably want to talk about that as well.
I mean, honestly, and I'll say this as a further kind of point in addition to what you just said. You know, just want to commend the DPW because, I mean, we had 10 Girl Scouts running around, couldn't find garbage, like they were looking
Right.
everywhere in our park. I mean, if they found a cigarette butt, they were excited. They picked it up with the little
And also-
claw thing and they're carrying it around.
Servers was there, that they also.
Yeah, they were,
Yeah.
but they weren't doing, they were doing planting, so it wasn't quite the same.
But that was one of the things that Sonia had said. She said Nyack is one of the most difficult places to work because there's no garbage.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing, and they said she enjoys it, but
We can
it's
send them
tough.
on Main Street.
The park
I've
though
been
is good.
cleaning up Spring Valley, so I completely,
Yeah.
I agree. So,
in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kudos to Rock Beautiful, all the volunteers, and also the Parks Conservancy for leading a great flower planting project on that Saturday. We had the Dancing in the Streets event out here, which was, had great weather. We didn't get any complaints that I heard. It was packed, and it seemed like Nyack was really shining. Just coming up this weekend, there's a pollinator group doing a planting project over by Nyack Plaza in collaboration with the facilities management and residents there. They're looking for volunteers at 10 o'clock, if anybody's interested in participating. And there will be a music event down in Memorial Park as well for the drum circle. And lastly, our marina lighting project is moving forward. They've installed summer lights for the pedestrian bridge. And we had a pre-construction meeting just this week to plan out the light poles and their trenching strategy and so on down there. So just a little bit of an update.
And we got the final contract for the $250,000 to repave the Marine Park.
All right.
Which is
All right.
wonderful.
Louise, I saw you raise your hand. Was there something that
yeah, I just have a
Former-
question.
former deputy mayor, welcome?
Just a question for you, Andy, on the paving, is, North Street anywhere on that plan?
North
Main
Midland?
Street going north, no.
Mill.
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you. That's not on the paving plan for this year, no. We're trying to catch up.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Jen? Yeah,
One question about the Marina paving project as a former waterfront committee member. Does that include stabilizing the sub base? So a lot of that paving has sunk because of the fill house. So is that included in the project?
how about an answer of, we're trying?
Okay.
It's something that is definitely on the engineers. We need to fix this. 250,000 might not do it, so we've got to figure out if we need additional money or not to really make that final repair. But yes, it's on everybody's radar. Okay, Jen, did you have anything for us? All right, so we're to old business. The ETPA policy, we are moving forward with the vacancy study. Just need a confirmation from the board. I think we got one verbally from you, but we wanted to get one in public, in a public meeting, that we wanted to go with the 50 and over. And which is seven landlords, 7 buildings that would be included in the vacancy study. And that would be, we're ready to go. We just need to hear from everyone what their thoughts are. I know I've heard from pretty much everybody by text or email, but we need to do it in a public session, so. Are we good with the 50 and above from Joe's? 15 from Joe's email to us.
Yeah.
Done?
What was that, 15 about?
15 above the units above.
Yes.
Marie?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and Joe, I know you wrote the recommendation, so I think you're gonna be good and I'm good, so Andy, there's your consensus on that. We talked about river space parking lot, that's the 1 hour free parking for 2 months. Just to put that on during the village board meeting, the parking authority, which is basically the village board, approved that. Land use technical committee, we were moving forward with laws on signage and also on tree removal. And we're waiting, we're also going to move forward on re-engaging our policy on ADA compliance and working with our local businesses on that. And the other ones, we're waiting for more research to come back from the. All right, next, we're not ready for the business council reorganization. Right? We're still working on that. Yeah, okay. All right, so just on all business. EV charging ports we talked about, night panhandling activity and concerns. We've had 2 meetings. One was on the 2nd, and then we had another one last night. There's basically, we're proposing that we move forward with a 3-pronged strategy. The first being on developing a NIAC cares. Please don't give money to panhandlers. We want to give money to service providers to provide services to the folks who are panhandling.
I don't remember just talking about this.
Yeah, we did. We talked about it at the last meeting, yeah. And we actually decided that this meeting, we would move forward because we wanted to get some momentum on it. So it was not a public meeting.
Okay.
It was more of a meeting like we had before. We did not post it as a public meeting. So only 2 trustees could be there.
Okay.
And then going forward, we're going to do publications for every other meeting to move forward. All right. That was what we discussed at our last.
No, I remember discussing that. I didn't see anything out of the meeting. That's like.
The meeting
this-
was last night. That's specifically about that. A lot of the meeting was focused again. We got to the NIAC cares, but not until we really went through another discussion about policing. Very strong discussion about policing. That's obviously when we do that work group, that's going to be something that we have to really very well. So public safety is the second piece after the NIAC cares. We've also are looking into the possibility of doing like NIAC ambassadors. We'll send information around to the board about it, but it's basically having volunteers or part-time staff that are wearing a shirt that give people, this is where to go to find this is what you do here, just to have ambassadors around the village to be our eyes and ears of what's going on. So that's something also that's a thought. We've got some information that I forgot today to send around to you. We'll get that around to you. And then the third prong is to work with the social service agencies and so that everybody knows what services are available, knows how to get them, and so that the community knows where to get the answers to what's available to people in 3 specific areas: food, shelter, and medicine. Right. So, and we're going to, over the next couple of weeks, we'll set up the next 2 meetings. We've asked people to volunteer to help us to get the word out on the NIAC cares initiative. We'll probably wait until next week to see what kind of response. So that's where we are in those 2 meetings. There was a lot of concern. I thought the first meeting we got a lot of information. The second meeting we still went through the policing issue. That's a major concern for the business community. And now we're working on this NIAC cares idea. Right, so we're now to communications. So the first item for communication is for a use permit for Memorial Park for a 5-hour event for 200 participants to include food truck. I'm sure you've all read this. Any comments from the board? Does, in my opinion, there's since no one else, unless someone else wants to talk, it does not meet part of our place. It's pretty much taking over the entire park for 4 hours, and we've been very specific about time, place, and manner. So we're trying to develop that policy language for it.
And the music.
There's just a lot going on.
I just think the event's too big. It's gonna
Yeah,
take
yeah,
up the
really
entire
big,
park,
yep.
And it's too long. Anybody would have different thoughts on that?
No.
Okay, the next one is for Memorial Park gazebo, playground and splash pad use permit for Saturday, June 24th. for 3 hour event for a birthday party. Non-exclusive use, they just want to be able to go down and enjoy it. Any thoughts on that?
No, no.
Seems to meet all of the criteria that we've been setting up, time, place, and manner.
Yeah.
It's not going to use the whole park, it'll be open to everyone. We will need some sort of insurance.
Definitely.
All right, so we're okay to move forward with the resolution for that on the 25th. The next one is for marina boat launch use permit application for the Lighthouse Swim. Remember, we did this last year.
Right.
It was a great event. We did, they did generate some money for, I believe it was the Nyack Center and maybe for
The Soup Angels.
Soup Angels, I think both. And they're willing to do that again.
Yes,
That's
you
part
asked
of
me to
the-
reach out to them. I spoke to the coordinator. He said that they did $500 each last year and they'd like to do that again. if not more.
Okay, I don't know if you all remember that, if they came and presented to us, so it was really a good event. Are we okay with moving forward with that?
Yep.
Yes, okay, so. The next one is for another park permit. For a therapist climb out of the darkness event. From 10 a.m. to noon, 15 participants. For a walk and a group photo. As long as we get an agreement that it's not exclusive use, I think it meets our the thinking that we've had so far.
I just have one question. Is it starting or ending in the park? Because they're talking about a walk.
That I don't know. They're meeting for a walk, so maybe that's where.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with it. I just didn't know them. Okay,
We can find that out. We have it for.
okay.
for the- Any, we okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll move forward with that. Then the next communications piece is fire department parade on June 11th.
Yep.
Which is also the date of the Pride Promenade. We've had discussions with Pride. This is pretty much happens every year. The fire event is over before.
And cooking.
People cooking.
Man, oh, sorry, yes.
I know, it's
People cooking. Okay, fine.
It's people.
Right, but-
Yeah, because that's a busy.
These
day.
Same day, that's the end of
Right.
the.
These were village events. That's a Nyack Center event. But yes, there are people, men cooking, people cooking, whatever it is always on the same day.
Wherever it is.
So we've already let them know that we're good. Parking
Yep.
authorities working with them on blocking off parking that day. Then the last is for Okada to use the park. This is a normal event that they've done. It is on June 3rd though, so I think that might be a bit of a problem.
Oh, they always have it after the event.
So the African American Day Parade is good with that? Yeah, and I also have a question for you. I texted you about
I know.
the street. The street dedication of that. So are we good with the Okada? That's very much a.
So just a comment on this for the trustees. Their second item on September 9th, I've told them we can't guarantee access because our lawn rehab project may exclude everybody from the lawn in September. So they're aware that might or may not be possible. I'm hoping it won't be because we'll have our funding and design plan, everything will be torn up down there.
So we'll approve the 3rd and we'll wait for you to give us a heads up on
Wait
that.
on that.
All right. So let's go through it forward to the 3rd. You just, when you said that, Andy, you reminded me, we always have a fairly significant September 11th commemoration.
Yeah.
In Memorial Park, and we've been doing it lately at the gazebo.
Yep.
So we're gonna need to rethink that. We have done it out on the viewing platform before.
Right,
We may need to do something different than it would require
yeah.
getting
let's think about that.
electricity out there and stuff, so. We'll just need to think that through. when it comes to it. Okay, so we will now open up for public, we got all the communications that I miss any? All right, we'll open up for public comment on any item. Jack, I saw you move up to the front. Did you want to say something?
Why not? Yes, I think I will. And maybe
move forward. And that was mostly to hear what you were saying.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
However, that's okay.
Spot.
So, I wonder if you can explain to me, your decision, with the parking lot in Artepe. That, the new, parking, how can we put it,
It was new parking rules for
rules.
river space parking.
Yeah, please explain that to me because I'm rather confused about that.
I'm sure. Andy, you two wrote the memo,
Right.
so.
So the board adopted a rule change that would enable 1 hour free parking in that lot. In addition to the usual metering enforcement regime. Based on the logic that the market and other places benefit from short-term use with a minimum of effort to deal with the apps or putting your license plate in the union meters and so on. That it would be a convenience to local business shoppers to have 1 hour free. That's the policy. The signs are up. It was discussed in parking authority and the village board. And we're now.
I missed that meeting. I'm sorry. Is it possible that you could, bring forth that same policy to, let's say, South Broadway?
It's a 2-month trial.
To make it,
Two-month
to make it more convenient, because now just think of the logistics. Okay, of where Artepe is, and then you have South Broadway. That's, it's about a block and a half, as opposed to Main Street, which is a block or half a block. So it's, walkability is what I'm thinking. And I think for convenience, like that.
There's no doubt that free parking with no need to register is very convenient from the user perspective. We're gonna find out through this trial how successful that is as a method. And I will say to the board that there are issues and challenges related to our technology for overseeing that. That we are struggling with. And so the adoption of a blanket policy like that would be premature.
Yeah, that's why we did it for 2 months to see whether we could actually pull it. All right, so Joe just pointed something out to me that I completely misspoke on.
No, just the numbers were just crossed. When I had done the analysis of all the units, the buildings with rental units that would be affected by the ETPA. And I think I sent that out to you. It came out that if we broke it down by all eligible 6-unit buildings, took only 12 plus units, took only 25 plus units, or only 50 plus units, it would break down that we could get at 25 units or more. There would be 7 buildings that would get us 73% of the total eligible units if we went to 6. So if we went to 6 plus, which is everything, it would be 897 eligible units. If we do 25 plus, it's 659, which is 73%. But it cuts down the number of buildings that are affected from 32 to 7. And the 7 buildings have an average number of units.
Right, I was wondering, that's what.
The 7 was right, the side.
25 was
25,
25, not 50. So I just want to confirm that we're going forward with the ETPA analysis based on 25 plus unit buildings. There are 7 of them.
We're all good with that.
Yeah, yeah.
My apologies.
Okay.
Okay,
Notes, but I.
so, we are now at comment.
Are you done with the questions?
We're done, public comment, go ahead.
I just had a question regarding the park.
Could you stand up and give us your name, Alex? I know we know who you are, but still, just for, because we're on TV, so.
Smile.
Smile, you know.
I look homeless to them. But anyways, so, yeah, I have a property in the DMU 2 zone. And I've had it for about 10 years and I bought it with a 10-ton building on it. And, I could put like about 13 units there and something doesn't really make sense. I don't want to put anything big like everybody's doing. I would like single, 1 bedroom or even, nice studios. Because I think I need it and it works for me. But with what's it saying? Density. With the density and the parking requirement, it just doesn't make sense. You're allowed to build this much, but for you to build it and make it work, you have to build something big and expensive, and I'd rather not deal with that type of clientele.
So Alex, why don't you come in and sit down and look at the new law that we're about to pass? That deals with some of that and see if it answers your question.
But what are you doing? You're changing the parking? You're
We're
eliminating
changing the
parking?
requirements for downtown parking for buildings.
DMU one, I think Alex said DMU two.
I'm into, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right, so it's.
So it just, I could put like a 16,000 square foot building, but I could only put 13 units. So basically, that's like 2-3 bedrooms. It just doesn't make sense. We don't need like 2-3 bedrooms. We need studios. Nice studios. But it doesn't work.
Right, well,
We don't have anything in it that makes it work.
where is this, where is that? Alex?
ABC rental right across the street.
Right across the street.
The David Sharp building.
It's on North
and the
Main.
Brick building. No,
No, it's not for.
Burger. It's on behind Wells Fargo.
Behind Wells.
ABC.
Where the chocolate.
Yes, Adam Jordan, yes.
Right near the house.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have 2 buildings. I have 2 buildings in a building. It's a lot over there that, I'd like to do something there, but it just doesn't really make sense for what I want.
Yeah, it would be a zoning change for us to go through. We are looking, our land use technical committee, Steve, who was here.
But we need more apartments and we need
do.
more
Let me-
apartments
let
under
me-
$3,000.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. They're looking at how can we do some of exactly what you're trying to do.
Okay.
But it will take a change for us to do that for you,
How long is
or
it?
for anyone, not just for you, for anyone. So you could go through the variance process, but have you talked with Manny, the building inspector, at all about your idea?
No.
Okay, so I think that's the first step, and then let's see what steps if that's something that we want to do as a village. What would it take to do it? And then the board's gonna have to discuss what it actually wants. And it will have to go through a public hearing process. So that the public can weigh in on anything that we're considering changing. Okay, so why don't you come and sit with Manny? We'll let him know that you're gonna call him about it. We'll figure it out and then we'll move from there. Okay,
All right, thanks.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
You're laughing at me, so I wonder what, that he's on TV. He's on the. Sorry, I can't. That's 70-year-old. Okay, so we're now back to comments from Village Board of Trustees. Marie, you want to start us off?
I think most everything was said, today, the village, what we've accomplished and the contribution that we all are making to the village.
I just want to say that I thought the meeting that we had last week on the panhandling and other issues from the downtown went very well. And the people that came out, I thought were very constructive in their suggestions, and I thought it was a good meeting, and I thought we're on a good trajectory on that issue.
To what, piggyback on what Joe has to say, and I just wanted, everyone to know that the Village of Nyack Housing Authority meeting was canceled and it's rescheduled for May 23rd at 6:30.
Let's go.
I had a great time painting beaches in Royal Park, and getting paint all over myself. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, it was a great weekend making the village look really nice.
Great, just, I'll try to be very fast and quick, but there are a couple significant things that have happened this week, or I hope they become significant. Last Saturday, there was a private viewing of a documentary on urban renewal. And it was quite powerful. And what I spoke with Craig Smith and at Phoenix. They're the ones that funded the documentary. And I think as a village that we should present this to our community. It costs about $2,000 for a viewing. So we're gonna have to figure out with them how to come up with that 2,000, because I don't want to charge for it. And if everyone agrees with that, I will move forward with them. And we'll work with the Nyack Center to get a date. And I would like to make it a public showing.
Yep.
It was really, it's quite powerful what happened. I'm sorry.
For the, in terms of cost of that. So.
So, no, I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding what you're asking.
I'll.
No, just
dive
say it.
in. Is that, can we share that cost with another organization or?
Well, what I
I
think
don't
what
think
we
we
would do
should.
is we would work with Phoenix to raise the money for it.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be a problem to raise $2,000.
No. My
I'm
opinion-
willing to give, since Don Hammond's not gonna ever use his campaign fund again. I'm willing to give $500 of my campaign funds to it. So I think we can get the rest of the money fairly.
I think we should pay for it. Yeah.
So I really think it's something that we as a village should give to our community. We need to tell this story. It needs to be told.
Where did you see it?
It was at the library. It was very small,
Oh, right, that's
maybe
right.
10 or 15 people.
But they did say they are gonna, right.
They're gonna be bringing it out.
Right.
But I stopped them when they said that because I thought it was important for us as a village to say,
Yep.
we want our residents to see this documentary and to see what occurred during it from this perspective. We've seen it probably from other perspectives. This is a Howard Zinn version of
And what was the name of it?
Jackson Avenue. Something. So I'll move forward with Craig on that. Andy and I met with Assemblyman Zabrowski. We brought him up to the DPW, pitched a couple of the major projects up there for new salt shack or whatever we call it. And also the truck wash. And I also asked him, sort of as an aside, when we were at the farmer's market, one of the things that's coming out of the panhandling discussion and other discussions that I'm having in the community is that we really need some activities for our youth. We've known that for a long time. So, and there seems to be some synergy growing around that. So I said to him, we could use some seed funding to get that started. And he said, I'll let you know. So that might be something to get some seed funding. And I also spoke with Teresa Kenny today and the Orangetown supervisor. And they're considering bringing the recreation department. They haven't made a final decision on it. It's still in process, but bringing some recreational activities to the South Nyack Park,
Oh.
which would then mean we're all Orangetown residents. It would, the South Nyack on
Small park on Frank.
Yeah. So that would give us an opportunity for our community to go and maybe to expand that. And the school district is also interested in working with us on trying to establish some new ideas. So now, again, the Orangetown thing's not done deal yet, but I just thought that you would want to know that we're kind of working on trying to get some activities during the summer for our youth. I also participated in a Zoom call with Mayor Adams from New York City today. He is asking for all municipalities to consider taking some migrants from New York City. I think with the way the situation is right now in Rockland County, that for us to even have a conversation about it is premature. So I think we should wait until we see what all the legal back and forth is happening And then if we feel like it's something we want to explore. Okay. I would, and we have no executive session tonight, that I know of. Dennis, we're good, right? Do we need an executive
Session, but if we could just there a couple minutes ago.
do that right now. So, we have a request for us to look at our calendars for the July 13th board meeting. That meeting will most likely be the meeting where we will bring a public hearing for the ETPA. To start that process, we'll be done with the study.
July 13th, I'm asking if it can be moved to a
Move
different
to a
day.
different day in July.
And I am, and suggest, I'll throw some dates at the board and we can go down the line and say yes, no, yes, no.
I don't know.
Is anyone interested in the prior week, the week of July 3rd? Obviously not the 3rd, obviously not the 4th. Anyone want to do the 5th or 6th?
I can't, I'll do that.
I can't do that.
All right, so let's go to the 11th. How's the 11th? So Tuesday.
I can do the 11th.
I will still be away.
Me too.
How about the 12th?
12th I can do.
Oh, no, that's when I'll be away. So
I'm just gonna say.
I was gonna say,
I'm going away just the 12th, 13th. It's a 5-day week.
What about the week after?
Yeah, we're going there now. 17th. How's the 17th?
I would rather do it on a Thursday night, which is our normal, so it wouldn't be disadvantage to the community members that. And it would also, that would also be the 4th to Thursday instead of the 2nd.
The 20th is possible, but I might be a little bit late. The 4th session begins at 5:30 up at Hampshire Village. Usually we finish by 6:30.
Did I push for the 19th?
In July,
It's the ARB. It's the ARB.
July 11, 18, 25, there's music down at Memorial Park.
Which one?
So
The
you're-
11th, the 18th, and the 25th.
I guess we could, is the 18th okay with folks? That's a Tuesday.
I can't do the 18th, I'm sorry.
Well, then let's do the 20th. Are we all right with the 20th?
20th, sure.
I can do it tonight.
Okay.
What are we at?
The 20th?
20th.
I don't know.
Okay, and I'll try to get a judge up in Hampshire Village to shorten the.
That's only Thursday?
For me, I should be here, I should be here by 7.
The
The
20th,
meeting will start at 7:30.
and that's when it said the 23rd.
20th, the 20th, 7:30. We're on.
I will send an email to everyone right now, so you have another thing.
Well, let's do a motion and get a resolution done.
Motion.
If you don't mind, that'd be great.
So motion from Marie for the meeting to be on, moved from July 13th to July 20th.
Right. Second.
Second from Pascal, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
One other meeting note. Just, I think I texted, I emailed you about this, but on the 8th for the June 8th meeting. That is the night of the Habitat for Humanity event, which is at 6 p.m. down at the Seaport, which I will need to be at. For that the meeting starts at 6, probably. If we have any major votes that we can hold off until I can get here, because I'll probably be able to get out by 8:30 or so.
Okay, well, we'll talk about your law.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so Joe Rand's moving for adjournment of the meeting. I need a second.
Second. Everybody.
All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, everyone. I told Walter that if I was done by 9 o'clock, I was gonna go have a glass of wine with him, so I did it.
Pascal,
I say, we can respond to incentives.
Incentives, baby.
what happened to Jackson? That's the name.
Yeah.
Oh, so you know, whole name, okay. Oh, what happened? What happened to Jackson Avenue?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there like a cheeser version somewhere?
Oh, there's something I asked that.
Really?
I'm telling you, I had. We still.
Good evening. We are? Oh.
I think we're getting more because.